Hello, welcome to Also Rusty Buckets. I really need to shave my neck, and I didn't do it because I wanted to record this video quickly. Also, real quick, I just uploaded my first NBA deep dive over on my main channel. So if you haven't watched that video already, I would really appreciate it. It's my favorite type of video to do. Well, it's the first time I've done it, but I assume it will continue to be my favorite type of video to do. It was about skill and how that's defined in the NBA and all that shit. But yeah, that's just go watch it if you haven't already. With that out of the way, subscribe to this channel if you have not already. If you're watching these videos, if you have been subscribed to my main channel and you want to see my post-game reactions, then go ahead and subscribe over here. It's much appreciated as well. I appreciate everything. I keep realizing doing these unscripted videos with no cuts that I go into sentences and like do one long take of a sentence and then realize I've run out of breath, so I leave just a really large and long breath in the video. But anyways, a couple of games today that I watched, really it was more like 2.5 because I watched the fourth quarter of Nets versus Raptors and like the first 2.5 quarters of Heat versus Wizards. And then I watched Bulls versus Magic, and of course the Celtics versus the Clippers game. So first game I want to talk about is the Bulls. I hope this is understood from the people that are watching this channel. On days where the Bulls are playing, any game that's going on during that game, I'm not going to pay that much attention to just because I have to pay attention to the Bulls games. So that was the case with this Heat versus Wizards game. It kind of got left on the back burner because I was focusing more on the Bulls versus Magic game. But for this game, Patrick Williams had probably his best scoring game. He had 20 points. I think it might have been a little over 20, something like that. I asked what is in my notes I put, what is Patrick Williams' ceiling specifically as a scorer? I don't like his all-around game. I like his defense specifically. I think we all expect to be pretty good, but scoring wise, I'm wondering what his actual ceiling is, because initially I thought he was a power forward. He has been a small forward in the NBA thus far, and I think he hasn't been bad at it, but I still think he's best as a power forward. He's shown this real ability to take shots and make shots out of the mid-range. I don't know what his percentages are, but I tell you, every time I see this guy take a mid-range shot, it seems like it's going in, and it usually does. He took one out of the post today, which was interesting to me because it was the first like fadeaway that I've seen him take, and it dropped. He also has good touch on floaters and on little hooks near the basket. He definitely has that feel for the game in the mid-range area. He's a relatively good finisher, relatively good efficiency. He's a relatively good finisher. Not amazing thus far, but he's been good at it. And his three-point percentage has been good, but I can tell you from watching that I'm very confident that Patrick is not confident from three. His form is very mechanical. He has a very low volume. He's pretty much only taking them when he's completely wide open. I don't think Patrick is actually a good three-point shooter. I just think he has taken such a low volume and only high quality looks, so it's resulted in a 40+% three-point percentage. So that's just some thoughts on Patrick, but his actual offensive ceiling, I think he could be a 20-point per game guy on decent efficiency. My worry is early he has been passive, but maybe that's something that will be removed as time goes on. Also, he's a pretty good ball handler, which especially as a 4 could take him places, and he's athletic, so I do think he has the potential to be a pretty good scorer and then a very good defensive player. So Patrick is someone that I'm very excited about on the Bulls, and he honestly should be getting more buzz, and he isn't. So as for some notes after Patrick Williams, I wrote Dwayne Bacon thinks he is Kobe. My friend Not Zay, who is an Orlando Magic fan, he has complained about Dwayne Bacon. Initially when Dwayne was on the Hornets, he had games where I was like, this guy could be something, and then he just wasn't that great. But yeah, that's Dwayne Bacon. I still believe in Frank Mason. I don't care. That speaks for itself. Denzel Valentine has been good for the Bulls this year. I was right about that. I have continuously said to the Bulls fan base that hates Denzel Valentine that he is a solid NBA player, and this year he has been a solid NBA player. I'm not sure what his exact stats are from this game. I'm going to pull it up. He put up Where is it? Where is it? This is uncut. Where the fuck? Okay, 14 points, 6 for 12 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3. Also had 4 rebounds and 2 steals. And for the season, Denzel is averaging 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists on relatively good efficiency. So Denzel Valentine is an okay NBA player. Bulls fans need to shut the fuck up. Evan Fournier, it's time to shave that head. He is holding on for dear life. That's all that needs to be said. It's impressive how the Magic managed to remain solid despite all of their injuries. That speaks for themselves. And then right after that, it's also impressive how bad the Bulls' defense is, especially without Wendell Carter. This team desperately needs an interior presence, and Wendell has been pretty good at that. But now that he's gone, Bulls fans who thought that fucking Daniel Gafford was better than Wendell are really looking stupid right now because he has not been the interior presence you would want. Because of this lack of presence, Vooch had, I believe they said it was a career high, 43 points, and we ended up losing this game. And one of the main catalysts for them losing this game is that Kobe White and Patrick Williams both missed wide open layups. And I mean wide open layups. And this was in the last 4 minutes of the game when it was a close game. So that's rough. Now, to be fair to Kobe White, there was an offensive rebound or a steal or something like that, and they got the ball right back, and Kobe made a 3. But at least that Patrick Williams one, it's like you can't leave points on the board like that. And we fell just a couple of points short, so that's pretty damn sad. And the title of this video is going to be, I believe, unless I think of something else, Can Zach LaVine Please Get Some Help? Actually, no, I'm going to talk about the Kevin Durant net situation, so forget that. But I hope Zach LaVine gets some help, so I'm not going to go too in-depth with that because I remember I want to go in-depth about the KD thing, and that's going to take a while, so not to make this video too long. Heat versus Wizards. Ish Smith remains underrated. That speaks for itself. I think the Heat are going to be fine. The Wizards, on the other hand, I just love how I wrote that note, just like... But not the Wizards, though. The Heat obviously struggled this season, mostly due to injury and some inconsistency from some of their players. I think they're going to be fine. And the Wizards, not so much, as the note implies. Not much depth needed there. Bam mid-range... Can't talk. Bam mid-range jump shots seemed like they're going to be a real thing this year. He took them a couple of times last year, and it wasn't like all that shocking when they would drop. But this year, it seems like something he's going to more confidently. Excuse me, burp, not cutting that out. There are no cuts in this video. Bam's jumpers have been dropping this year. I don't know what the exact percentages are, but I know when I'm watching Heat games are dropping, so good for him. And then I left this game in the third quarter because the Heat were up like 50-something to 80-something. So it was pretty clear where that game was going. I should check the NBA app just to be sure they didn't pull off something miraculous. Like, what if they made a 30-point comeback? Nope, they lost by 27, so good call to leave that game. I think I would have probably heard if that had happened. So, Nets versus Raptors. Now, I only watched the fourth quarter of this game. What I want to talk about is the events that transpired previous to this, which I normally would not do, but you don't really need to have watched the game to understand the controversy. So what happened is KD before this game wasn't allowed to get in the game immediately because of contact tracing stuff, and there was worry about him potentially having the virus. And then they let him in the game, and then they pulled him from the game later on and didn't let him continue to play. And the Raptors ended up winning this game by a relatively slim margin. So that was questionable, but then Kevin Durant went on Twitter and he had a whole lot of complaints about it. So I'm gonna pull up Kevin Durant's Twitter because he is trending because there was a whole lot of things being said. So let me see here. So basically, the tweet, he was quote tweeting something that first he tweeted "Free me," which has 140 or 180,000 likes on Twitter and 44,000 retweets. So that's not a good look for the NBA. And then statement from the NBA on Kevin Durant's situation. I haven't read this. Kevin Durant has tested negative 3 times in the past 24 hours, including 2 negative PRC tests a day. However, someone he interacted with this afternoon subsequently had an inconclusive test result shortly before the game. Durant was initially held out of the game. That's while that result was being reviewed. I'm trying to read fast to seem smart, but then I'm missing and fucking up. Under the league's health and safety protocols, we do not require a player to be quarantined until a close contact has a confirmed positive test. During the game, a positive result was returned from the person that Durant interacted with this afternoon. Once that test was confirmed positive, on an abundance of caution, Durant was removed. Out of abundance of caution, Durant was removed from the game, and contact tracing is underway to determine if it was in fact a close contact of the positive individual, if he was in contact. So that seems pretty reasonable. But the thing is, Durant had already been playing. So at that point, any risk of him potentially spreading it to other people already happened. So the argument is, why not just let Kevin Durant play out that game, and then what happens after this was going to happen anyways. So someone else quoted this, Brian Floyd: "Can everyone stop saying things like out of an abundance of caution? We're just saying words that don't match actions for PR over and over at this point," which is a thing with the NBA, is they've been saying we're being cautious, but then there's questions of like, you're really not being all that cautious. Kevin Durant says, "Yo, at NBA, your fans aren't dumb." I disagree with that, but sure. "You can't fool them with your whack-ass PR tactics." And then he says, I don't give a fuck who it is, but you gotta lock in Maine. Boozy voice. I'm gonna look so fucking lame. I don't know what that's referencing, but Durant is not happy. He said, "Free me." And being that the Nets ended up losing this game by a slim margin, that's not a great look. But I kind of understand where the NBA is coming from, but also the damage was done, so let him play. But maybe you could have potentially stopped the spread by taking him out early. I understand both sides of this. I think it's just kind of a rough situation. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to talk about it in this video. But yeah, that's something that happened. As for what happened in this fourth quarter, basically, it was a pretty close game when I hopped into this game, and then the Raptors gradually went on a bit of a run, and the Nets could not match. Now, I will say there was a lot of slander for the Nets defense for this fourth quarter, but really from what I was watching, for the most part, it was just better offense by the Raptors. Like, yeah, the defense could have been better. It's always should be better. But the Raptors were hitting a lot of shots where there were hands up. It just happened to drop. Kyle Lowry was hit a few big shots. He made some good passes into an interior that had some coverage, and the pass got through anyways, and they finished through contact. So even though the Nets defense was bad for sure, it's not like this game was it's not like it was like an easy path. Really, the Raptors just made shots, and towards the end of the game, the Nets made a few shots, but they weren't making enough. Also, I just put, please bring back the beard, Kyrie. He looks weird without his beard, rhyming. I also said maybe Harden is the only one allowed to have a beard on the team, but then again, so does Joe Harris, so maybe not. But yeah, the Raptors won this game. Celtics versus Clippers was the other big game that I put my focus on. I really just focused on this game and the Bulls game for the most part. No Jaylen Brown for the Celtics, no Paul George for the Clippers. At least I didn't see them. If they played and I missed it, I'll feel dumb. But because last time I said Ben Simmons played in that Sixers game and he didn't play in that game whatsoever, maybe if they got hurt. Yeah, no, neither of them played. I just want to be sure, because last time I said Ben Simmons played for the Sixers and felt like an idiot. It was just a more general point about the Sixers, but then I said something implying he played that game and he didn't. So neither of them played, just confirming that one. This is my first time actually watching Peyton Pritchard, because I didn't really watch the Celtics much early this year, and then he got hurt. And he was pretty good this game. I don't think he was outstanding, but I understand why Celtics fans are pretty excited about him. Grant Williams has been great for the Celtics. He hit a couple of good shots in this game and played great defense. This year he's been shooting 40% from three. Very good stuff from him. Their bench still sucks ass, and that really got exposed in this game as they were going to like Carson Edwards, Semi Ojeleye, and Jeff Teague late in this game. And that's rough. But, Grant Williams has been good at least. Tatum, he's been hitting his mid-range shots more this year, and I feel like that's one of those things that I feel like people don't pay much attention to, because there's a very common thing where if a player takes a lot of mid-range shots and they're pretty when they go in, people just assume that they're good mid-range shooters. Like John Wall and Russell Westbrook are a perfect example of that. Like I said once that John Wall is not a good mid-range shooter, and someone freaked out, but I'm like, dude, he's been around 40%, even below it for his career, which is not good. Just because he takes a lot of mid-range shots does not mean he's good at mid-range shots. And Jason Tatum has fallen under that umbrella for the most part. The biggest thing that really helped Tatum's game reach a new level for me was that he started using his moves in the mid-range behind the three-point line, which is where his game really took the leap, because that shooting 37% from behind the three-point line with those moves is better than shooting 37% from mid-range. But this year, Jason Tatum is shooting 50% from 10 to 16 feet after shooting 40% last year, and I believe the volume has increased as well. So that's nice to see that the guy who likes to shoot mid-range shots is starting to hit the mid-range shots. Left leg switch. I might end up making some left leg merch, because why the fuck not? That just hit the mic. It might have sounded weird. I wrote Carson Edwards is the greatest three-point shooter of all time. He hit like 3 in 2 minutes, and then he didn't make a 3 after that. So he was the greatest three-point shooter of all time for like 3 minutes. Serge Ibaka has been great for the Clippers, and here is where I'm going to be incredibly petty about something that nobody knows about, except for like 100 people on Twitter. There was some guy who came at me when I was talking about how great of an addition Serge Ibaka was for the Clippers, saying that he would be horrible without Kyle Lowry assisting him on offense, which I thought was like hilarious, because Serge Ibaka has been good previous to Kyle Lowry being his teammate. Like, the guy was saying, like, Kyle Lowry has made Serge Ibaka look like an actual NBA player for the past year, or 2 years, or 3 years, or whatever. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, he only shoots well from three because he gets such good passes from Kyle Lowry. He gets all of his offense from assists from Kyle Lowry. And I'm like, even if that's true, he's always been a big man who benefits from assists. But he was basically implying that because no one on the Clippers is good at passing, Serge Ibaka is going to suck on the Clippers. In this game for the Clippers, Serge wasn't outstanding. He was 3 for 7, 7.7 rebounds, and 1 for 4 from 3. But I wanted to bring attention to this because he's been good this year, 40% from 3 and a little under 3 attempts per game, which is similar to what he was doing on the Raptors previous. Yeah, that was fucking stupid to say that. And I felt, and it wasn't just one guy. Like, I had a couple of other Raptors fans hop in there and agree with him. And I was like, dude, are you out of your fucking mind? He's been a good three-point shooter for a couple of years. Anyways, no one cares about that. Just me being petty. This video is going on long, but I had some stuff to go in depth about, so whatever. And all you guys say you like them being long, so it's fine. Pause. This is a note that I had. Actually, let me say this first. So the Clippers have been really good this year, even though they lost this game, and they have not been given credit or coverage for it. And as Kenny said on his Kenny For Real channel the other day, that's a good thing for the Clippers, and Clippers fans who are complaining about that should stop, because the issue with the Clippers last year was almost everybody was like, they're the team that's going to win the championship, and it went to their heads, and they failed as a result. So I think it's good for this team that that's not happening this year. So if you're a Clippers fan complaining about your team not getting enough credit, let them not get enough credit. It's better to be an underdog. Just ask the 2019 Celtics. So I also, here's the note that I had, and this is something that annoys me throughout games all across the spectrum. It's frustrating when teams are at a deficit and then they stay at that deficit for multiple quarters. Like, for example, a team goes up by 9 points, and then for the rest of the game, that's the deficit for like the entire fucking thing. Because it's like, can this game either just become a blowout so I can stop watching, or can the team that's down make a run so it becomes interesting? And it's like you're set in limbo. It's especially frustrating when you're a fan of the team that's down. But eventually, about midway through the third quarter, the Celtics broke away from that, and they actually took the lead. And then the Clippers had a run. It got to like 10 points for the Celtics, something close to that, and then the Clippers made a run right back. Part of that was because they were the Celtics had some weird lineups. It doesn't help that Jaylen Brown is out, but like there was a lineup like with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter that was Teague, Kemba Walker, Peyton Pritchard, Semi Ojeleye, and Robert Williams. What the fuck is that lineup? Jeff Teague and Carson Edwards on the court at the same time is just painful. Also, I wrote sometimes Tristan Thompson takes it off with a dribble and it's hit or miss. He scores like 2 to 3 times a game like that. I don't know if anyone cares about that. I just find it fascinating because I've watched like 3 Celtics games. I've watched every Celtics game in the last week, and he's just done it a couple of times. It's weird. Kemba had a good game, probably his best game of the year thus far, which is more commentary on how bad he's been this year, about 20 points, and he was good in the fourth quarter. I complained about Kemba 3 videos ago, saying that the Celtics might have made a mistake, and I still feel that way, but he played good in this fourth quarter. He hit a couple of clutch shots. Also made a good pass. Kawhi's post game is so good, bro. That speaks for itself. And last, I didn't write these notes, but just to summarize the end of this game, Lou Williams had 14 points in the fourth quarter, and he's been struggling this year, so that was nice to see. And he stepped up in the absence of Paul George, but it was not enough. This game was relatively close. It kind of came down to free throws for a good part of it, until Kemba hit that mid-range shot with like 50 seconds left. But other than that, it was just free throws, and that was frustrating. I hate when games like come down to just a bunch of free throws. But yeah, that was Celtics versus Clippers. This video is fucking 20 minutes long. I gotta get better at this. Anyways, bye.